Morning. My name is Tony Schooler. I am a parishioner at Calvary Episcopal Church in Washington, D.C., under the leadership of Reverend Peter Shell. The Reparation Project started about 6 or 7 months ago, led by Dr. Sylvia King, who is also a parishioner at Calvary. Reparation was something that I really had to research to get my hands on what came before, because most of what I had been taught about Calvary and its history, I think I can say was kind of sugar-coated. I had no idea the obstacles that had to be overcome for Calvary to grow and thrive. Some of these things were that we were told that the bishop called Reverend Bennett to establish Calvary, but we weren't told that when Reverend Bennett wanted to establish a church in an area where there were African-American homeowners, as opposed to areas when they were shanties, he was not given any funds to build his mission. He was given a salary, but no funds. And so basically he found his own donors. He searched through excess things in all the other churches so he could get his church up and running. That had to do with the location of the church. The other thing is Reverend Bennett was in charge not only of Calvary, but also of St. Philip's, Atonement, Woodville, and Crohn's. And he had to get to those places on his own. No transportation was given to him. And whenever he didn't meet the date and time he was supposed to be there, he was chastised, even though he often was wet and had to sleep on bare floors and things like that. Calvary also did not have electricity. And so we had to borrow money from the diocese to get electricity installed. This was back in, I think in the 1917 or 19, I don't remember the date exactly. Also, the other thing is that we never were a parish. Even though Calvary was founded in 1901, we were never given the option of being a parish, and we never had a vestry until 1940. That is a long time, even though our financial system was well. During the time I was trying to research what actually went on in terms of any prejudice or discrimination to Calvary, I went through the archives of the Diocese of Washington. I looked through Reverend Bennett's personal papers at the Payne Library at Virginia Theological Institute. I looked at the notes on the Committee of Colored Work and other assorted documents. And this kind of gave me a feel for what Reverend Bennett was up against. It was interesting to note that Calvary was listed as a mission and put under the Committee on Colored Work as though we were in a foreign land. That to me was astounding. I always felt that we were Americans, so why were we treated like a mission? Reverend Bennett was quite outstanding, as he was recognized in the District of Columbia as a member of the Selective Service Board. And he was also on the Board of Education for DC. He was elected to that position many times. I've not seen that happen in terms of African-American churches, but I'm not sure. Maybe that was just something that happened that I wasn't aware of. Reverend Bennett started a lot of programs that helped to elevate the status of African Americans, which was industrial training, libraries, credit unions, academic education. And some of the things that showed what he was up against were statements like it was hard to keep one's enthusiasm in the face of a spirit which lynches manhood without enthusiasm. No man can do an honest work. The church compromises the lynching spirit of Georgia and South Carolina and cannot be under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. A wave of prejudice, which is sweeping over the church, causes one to feel almost homeless. He also stated in another letter to one of the bishops that he had forgotten the fact of his being a Negro and how it implicated the things that happened in terms of his church. and that he didn't feel that the colored African Americans, Blacks, were given the respect by the church that they gave to Chinese and to the Indians. My feeling is that for reparation, money really doesn't, I mean, it's nice, but it doesn't solve problems. You can't keep money. But if you're educated, you can always keep the knowledge that you've learned. And with the Episcopal Church here having National Cathedral School for Girls, St. Albans, Beauvoir, I think that if one form of reparation for Calvary, even though we're a church without many children, could be looking at the community, particularly the school that is very close to our heart, J.O. Wilson, maybe finding students that have a lot of potential, maybe don't have the grade point average, and bringing them into the Episcopal schools, providing mentors for them, giving them tutoring, helping them with food and lodging and transportation, and structuring it somewhat along the lines that they've done in the Bishop Walker School for Boys, but within the overall confines of the very elitist schools at the cathedral. I think we could look at Georgetown University and Harvard University to see how they actually structured their education programs, even though some of those were directed toward the descendants of slaves. These are the things that I learned. It was just astounding. I don't think I can ever forget. My eyes have opened wide now to what happened in the Episcopal Church. And I look forward to working with the church to try to rectify some of these things in some manner that would be beneficial to all. Thank you.